Noted that the BBI promoters are now pegging their hopes on, and of course the Supreme Court is of course led by the President of the Supreme Court, and that is the Chief Justice currently, Martha Koome. And of course the court is established by the Constitution of Kenya, and of course determines disputes related to elections and of course to the office of the President arising under Article 140 and subject to clauses 4 and 5, appellate jurisdiction to hear and determine appeals from the Court of Appeal and other courts or tribunal as prescribed by the national legislation right there. And of course appeals shall lie to hear and determine appeals from, of course, other courts, and appeal shall lie from the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court as a right in any case involving the interpretation or application of the Constitution, and in that case, in any other case in which the Supreme Court or the Court of Appeal certifies that a matter of general and public importance is involved, and therefore certification may be affirmed, varied, and overturned. And therefore we shall be taking a look at the Supreme Court as the BBI Supreme Battle begins. Remember that the BBI Secretariat say that they will be backing the Attorney General as he tables his appeal in the Supreme Court. Just to take a look at that too, the Supreme Court may give advisory opinion at the request, of course, of the national government, any state or organ, or any county government with respect to any matter concerning county government. Now, as a right, of course, what you can see on the screen as a right in any case involving the interpretation or application of the Constitution in that case. Also, remember that an Act of Parliament may make further provision for the operation of the Supreme Court, meaning that the court is guided from whatever legislative measures that may come from the National Assembly in that case. So who are we taking a look at the Supreme Court? Who are the judges involved in this particular case? The Supreme Court President, of course, as I said earlier on, Chief Justice Martha Koome, and of course there are Dr. Smokin Wanjala, and of course there are so many others, around 7 judges. Mohammed Ibrahim is one of them, and of course Njokin Dongo is also one of them. As you can see, there is Justice Isaac Lenaola, also part of that bench that will also be deciding or sealing the fate of the BBI appeal in the Supreme Court. There is the President of the Supreme Court and, of course, Chief Justice Martha Koome, who will be leading that 7-judge bench in determining that particular matter. On your screen is also Justice Mohammed Khadar Ibrahim, who is also part of the 7-judge bench, who will be determining that particular case in the Supreme Court. Justice Philomena Mwilu, Deputy Chief Justice, will also be on that panel, and the fate of the BBI relies on these ladies and gentlemen, and of course the latest addition to the Supreme Court, Justice William Ouko, who recently served as the President of the Court of Appeal in that particular case. These will be the people who will be determining this particular case as the BBI battle at the Supreme Court continues. We'll be taking a look at some of these issues in the next coming days as this case progresses, of course, and of course the county's television will be keeping you up to speed. Let's now continue. Majority of